You might be just as shocked as I am that I haven't reviewed a game in, well, a very long time. And yet, here we are. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Dragon Quest Builders 2. And I'm currently knee-deep in my executive MBA and really didn't think I was going to have time to review a game, let alone play one for over 55 hours. But here we are. Dragon Quest Builders 2 arrived in Japan about 2 months ago now, on December 20th, 2018. And I'm happy to report that it takes everything that made the first game so special and improves upon it in virtually every single way imaginable. Let me start off by saying that I played the Switch version, having purchased the digital version a couple of days or maybe a week after it was released. The game was made available in 2 versions, a standard version and a deluxe super omega version that came with a bunch of additional downloadable crafting items. Think of it like a season pass. The game is also available on the PlayStation 4 for those that are interested, and on both platforms it's region free. Hooray! Much like the original Builders, this one follows the events of the game that it's actually based on, so in this case, Dragon Quest II, and features many familiar names and places. And this was actually one of my disappointments with Builders 2, was that the story was quite predictable. At the game's onset, you befriend a character named Malroth. And if you've played Dragon Quest II, well, you know precisely who he is. And I'm not going to say any more than that. It's just that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize where the story is eventually going to go. And surprise, surprise, that's pretty much exactly what happens. The dialogue itself is superb. It's exactly the same as you'd come to expect from the series, with the witty humor and all the little references and jokes and stuff like that. It's exactly Dragon Quest. That's about the best thing I can say. So if you enjoyed the first game's charm, you're absolutely going to love this one. In terms of gameplay, well, this is where the game has greatly expanded upon from the original game. First off is the introduction of partner characters. I've already mentioned Malroth at the beginning of the game, but he's not the only one. There's also a lot of other villagers that will become allies over time. And as you slowly develop your villages, these villagers actually help you build and defend your towns, which is actually pretty cool. The core gameplay remains much the same as the original game, where you venture off to new locations, befriend locals, build villages, collect items, and then, use your creative instincts to build masterpieces. The big difference this time around is how everything remains connected. You can actually go back and forth between each new island whenever you want, and you can find a bunch of hidden goodies that you may have missed the first time through, so it's actually worth going back after you've acquired new weapons and items and things like that. On top of that, while the items you've collected do disappear once you've moved from one main story island to the next island, the new items on each island are actually completely unique to said island. There's almost no overlap at all. So it's not like you're starting from scratch. It feels like you're almost in like another dimension type of thing. And the good news is that all your items eventually combine on the main hub island called Vacant Island. So in between story islands, you actually have this massive island where you have complete freedom to build whatever the heck you want. And because it's combined all these items, you don't have to go back and collect all new items all over again, like what they did in the free reign mode in the original game. So this is really, really cool. Another thing is you can hold pages worth of items. So you don't always have to go back to chests and stuff like that and offload your loot. This is very, very important. It makes the game much more enjoyable. The Vacant Island is really an incredible feature of the game where I spent just a wealth of time. There are also small islands where you're challenged to locate a set number of specific items. So maybe like find the tree, find a bush, find, a certain block type, stuff like that. And if you are able to collect all of those blocks from that certain island, you're actually rewarded with an infinite item. So for example, you might be able to never have to look for rocks or wood again. And as the game goes on, you actually unlock more and more of these. This makes building an absolute breeze, and I loved it. I just absolutely loved it. And this new system allows you to really want to go and explore and challenge these items. And there's even a new item called a flute that allows you to pinpoint the location of these particular items that you're trying to look for. So it makes it easy, and not only does it make it easy, it's so rewarding. I know that some people might find that the villagers helping you build or defend your villages might detract from the building components of the game, but personally I find it does the exact opposite. The villagers help you take care of some of the more mundane or boring aspects of the village building, or they might help you build these monolithic, like gargantuan structures that would take you hours upon hours to do, and they do it for you. And it kind of gives you an idea for when you get to Vacant Island in between the story missions of like, you know what, maybe I could do something similar. And I actually really like that. Each island also has a very unique feature set. And what I mean by that is that each island has sort of like a focus point. So the first island is basically gardening. It's all about gardening. And this is a new mechanic. And once you learn that mechanic, you can bring that over into Vacant Island and start to create these massive farms almost where you'll have perpetual food. The next island might be something to do with mining and teaching you how mining works. And then another island might be all about combat and so on and so forth. And speaking of combat, wow, what an improvement. You no longer take damage from hitting into enemies, and villagers can now be equipped with weapons such as swords that really help you out when your village is under attack. So it makes it so much easier to take care of. And because Malroth follows you around everywhere you go, you never feel like, oh man, I'm like gonna get so overpowered. It's awesome. I really like it. And as you level up, that's when you start to learn new recipes for armor and swords and weapons, which you can also equip to Malroth. So it's really interesting how all of these elements came together. There's also mini-medals in the games that take the shape of mini-medal puzzles. These are little building puzzles that can be solved in 60 seconds, and some of them are real brain twisters. And the objective, obviously, is to get your mini-medal. And as you complete more and more objectives, for example, say you'll have an objective to build 5 rooms or something like that on Vacant Island, you will be rewarded more and more mini-medals. And mini-medals do all kinds of good stuff for you as you progress through the game. So you always want to be on the lookout for mini-medals. They're really useful. Other new features introduced in Builders 2 include, but are not limited to, the block stack limit has been increased to 64, so now you can go quite high. You can also swim and dive in water, which is awesome, absolutely awesome. Weapons and hammers are no longer assigned to the same button, which is a huge improvement in terms of quality of life. You can easily just go back and forth. There's a new dash meter, which improves as you level up, so allowing you to run further and further for longer periods of time, which is great. And speaking of which, there are now teleporters on every island all over the place. They sort of act like checkpoints and quick travel points, so exploration is really encouraged this time around. Helper monsters can aid with farms, creating snowfields, and even planting trees, which is great. New items have been introduced that allow players to glide from high cliffs. I already mentioned the flute that pinpoints the location of hard-to-find items. There's even a iron that allows you to change the block. So let's say you had brick, you could change it from brick to metal, things like that. It's really cool. There's even a car that has been added to the game's last island that allows you to easily zip around all over the place. And yes, there is a multiplayer mode that's accessible from Vacant Island. So overall, I really loved all these new features, and I loved the aspect of how everything is tied together. Vacant Island doesn't feel like it's just tacked on. It's actually part of the story. And so as you're progressing through the main narrative, you're going to go back to Vacant Island, you're going to do some stuff there, but it's tied into the main story. It doesn't just feel like this add-on, and I loved it. And this whole idea with your party and having people follow you around is directly related to Dragon Quest II, where it was the first RPG on console that had a party. So it was pretty cool. And as you can hopefully tell, there's a lot of stuff going on with this game. I can already tell that some people, like I said, will probably be on the fence with the villagers and with the combat and stuff like that, but I adored it. I really, really did. I love the fact that you have a party now, and I love the fact that the combat has been greatly improved upon. But there's one other element I wanted to share with you before letting you go, and that's specific to the Switch version of the game. And here's a little negative. The game suffers from erratic frame rates when there's just too many environmental effects going on, which does hinder the experience somewhat, especially towards the end of the game, where I find the game really struggles to keep that frame rate rock solid. I should also mention that in portable mode, the game really shows that there's a complete lack of optimization for the Switch. The battery life is at best going to last you maybe an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. I'd say 2 hours absolute tops if you're doing virtually nothing in the game. Now, I'm not a software engineer, but I find this really short. And I know that with Breath of the Wild and games like that, you're looking at like a little over 2 hours. But for a game like this, I just didn't find it was using the hardware, like capping the hardware out for such a short battery life. Overall though, Dragon Quest Builders 2 is a brilliant game and currently sits atop my Game of the Year for 2019. I had an absolute blast with it, and I hope everyone outside Japan has a chance to enjoy it in the not too distant future. At the time of this review being published, which is about mid-February 2019, there is still no confirmed release date outside of Japan other than 2019. And that's a real shame because the game deserves to be played ASAP. I think Dragon Quest fans are absolutely going to love this one.